Morning at 7:20 to you by Guahan Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank on 93.3 The Point.
Introducing Tall Tales with Senator Bob Klitzkie.
Hi, I'm Bob.
Purveyor of truth and justice.
Well, hold on. That's a bit over the top, isn't it? I just want to tell the Point's international radio listening audience and Tall Tales buffs all over the world to take heart. I'm back. Tall Tales airs afternoons at 4 right here on The Point. Ray says, set your radio to 93.3 FM and forget it. You needn't touch it again.
The Point is KUSG, Hagåtña, Guam, 93.3 FM and 104.3 HD3.
Of victory. I'm Mary Corsetti, Fox News, by members of Hamas, who celebrated the current ceasefire with Israel in the streets of Gaza.
Hamas marking their ceasefire with Israel with a military parade. Hundreds of masked soldiers carrying guns as they walk the streets of Gaza City. The group's leader making his first public appearance at the parade, use of strength after 11 days of fighting. Gaza City remains covered in debris from the rocket attacks, leaving streets filled with broken glass, smashed cars, and demolished buildings.
Fox's Ashley Strohmeyer. And the overflow of migrants continues at the U.S. southern border. Fox's Bill Malugin has more from La Jolla, Texas.
This sector of the border is the most active section of the entire U.S.-Mexico border, always has been, so much so that Texas, through Operation Lone Star, has decided to send hundreds of state troopers down here to help supplement what's really just a completely overwhelmed Border Patrol force down here. And those state troopers have been very busy. They pulled over a Mexican national. He didn't stop at first. They eventually got him pulled over. They found in his car 16 firearms, including military-grade fully automatic rifles, over 3,500 rounds of ammunition. He had handguns with him, shotguns in the back, a .50 caliber sniper as well. DPS telling us they believe that man was trying to smuggle this all into Mexico.
And National Guard deployments ended Sunday for the several thousand troops stationed around the U.S. Capitol.
The National Guard's mission at the U.S. Capitol complex ends today. The remaining 2,100 troops are not expected to have their deployment extended. D.C. National Guard troops will return to normal operations. Out-of-state Guard members are returning to home bases, an official says. At one point, about 26,000 National Guard members were deployed to Washington in the aftermath of the January 6th attack on the Capitol at a cost of nearly $500 million. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
America is listening to Fox News.
Do you dread waiting in those long, inconvenient lines? That's why you won't find them at Bank Pacific. We're back to our pre-COVID Monday to Saturday hours with all of our branches open. You know, that where others put branches, we place roots thing. And if you don't want to come to the bank, we have MyCloud Banking through which you can go to the bank on any of your devices, including through our new cool mobile banking platform with remote capture so you can deposit checks from anywhere. Offline, online, no line. Bank Pacific. Where others put branches, we place roots and rooting for you. Member FDIC.
When's the last time you looked at your homeowner's insurance?
We buy a homeowner's policy and never give it another thought until something happens. Life brings changes, and our coverage needs can change. The smart thing to do is get the answers and level up our insurance to make sure we're totally protected.
That's the Insurance Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today by calling Guahan Insurance Services at 475-1162 or visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center in Tamuning.
Well, a growing number of states are reinstating work search requirements for people collecting jobless benefits. Fox's Rachel Sutherland reports.
During the height of pandemic-related shutdowns, states dropped rules about searching for work while unemployed. Now that states are reopening, several are requiring people on unemployment to actively look for a job. It's part of an effort to fill jobs amid a hiring shortage. At least 36 states are asking people to provide proof they're looking for work to continue receiving benefits. And more than 20 states are planning to end expanded jobless benefits over the summer before the September deadline. Rachel Sutherland, Fox News.
Meanwhile, a birthday party invitation that went viral on TikTok brought hundreds of people to a celebration on a Southern California beach, prompting police to declare an unlawful assembly and arrest nearly 150 people after they refused orders to leave. Police in Huntington Beach estimate that at least 2,500 people gathered on the sand and the downtown area Saturday night. Officers ordered the crowd to disperse and issued an emergency curfew after partygoers began to climb atop a lifeguard tower and illegally set off fireworks. Video footage from the scene shows officers dressed in riot helmets firing less lethal rounds and shutting down streets to control the crowd. Plus, the Ohio Department of Health reports increased vaccination rates after offering massive cash incentives to get the shot.
This Wednesday will mark the first of 5 drawings in Ohio's Vax-A-Million lottery.
We will announce a winner of a drawing for adults who have received at least their first dose of the vaccine. Excited about that.
Governor Mike DeWine on the announcement the state's offering $1 million to adults who receive at least one coronavirus shot. Prior to the drawing, the state saying the lottery has led to a spike in people getting the vaccine, with over 1 million people signed up to win. Vaccinated kids between the ages of 12 to 17 can also win in Ohio in one of 5 separate drawings that will give winners a full-ride scholarship to any Ohio university. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
I'm Mary Corsetti, and this is Fox News.
Half a day, this is Honey. Here at APL, our expertise and extensive network can help you grow your business and reach out to more global markets. As a responsible carrier, APL is also committed to a sustainable future, whether it's protecting the environment or investing our efforts in giving back to the community. Our dedicated teams in Guam, Saipan, and on U.S. mainland are here to support you. Call 588-4651 or visit apl.com.
Busy week? Mezcla Bistro in Tumon has you covered. Let us take the worries out of your dinner meal planning. Check out our daily specials or enjoy some of your local favorites. Plus, receive a free kids meal with each adult dinner entree purchase Monday through Thursday. Call 969-2652 for more information or to make a reservation at the Grand Plaza Hotel in Tumon. And don't forget, Jack Larimer is live every Saturday night. Mezcla Chamorro Fusion Bistro, a true taste of Guam.
Need to finish the job or start one the right way? Get the right stuff at East West Rental Center. You can switch to easy mode using industrial strength equipment. With years of experience helping builders, East West Rental gives you exactly what you need. Tools for landscaping, concrete, lifts, trucks, tables, tents, chairs, water blasters, excavators, forklifts, air compressors, and more. Call East West Rental Center at 646-1463 or visit them in Upper Tumon. Open Monday to Saturday from 7 to 5, Sundays 8 to 5.
Half a day. This is Rocky Martinez, professional heavyweight MMA fighter. Nothing gets in my way when I go pro at Subway. Pack a punch with double the protein on any foot-long sub for just $2 more. For a limited time only. Subway. Eat fresh.
Tall Tales with Bob Klitzkie is brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services.
Welcome to Tall Tales with Bob Klitzkie. The only show on talk radio where common sense is a lot more common. Phone lines are now open at 888-TALK. That's 888-8255. And now, The Point proudly brings you Tall Tales with Senator Bob Klitzkie.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Boy, it feels good to say that again, Jose.
Yes, sir.
2 whole days without sitting in front of a microphone and reading the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution. That's a lot of deprivation, but somehow I make it happen at the end of every week. But here we are at the best possible time for Tall Tales, the beginning of a brand new week. 5 days of Tall Tales ahead of us. It just doesn't get any better than that. All right, as is our usual custom, we'll start out with Zemi Ikotny. And the Daily News says the rescue plan offers path. The governor can cover tuition for 1 year. The University of Guam will increase tuition by 5% in the spring of 2022. 2022. I never got used to this century. You know, I'm still back in the 20th century.
You think you'd be used to it by now?
Yeah, I know, but I still haven't got used to the idea that the Dodgers are in Brooklyn. So give me time. The university hopes to use programs and funding such as the American Rescue Plan and financial aid to reduce the financial strain on students. UOG President Thomas W. Kreis, a very woke gentleman, said the tuition increase is needed to cover revenue shortfalls. Community College President Mary Okada has said enrollment is down at a time when unskilled workers who lost their jobs due to the pandemic should be looking to get trained in education to find good-paying jobs. If Guam wants to help more people get a higher education so they can find better jobs and help our young people be prepared for whatever the coming year has in store for them, there's a simple solution. Make it free for students to attend the university or Guam Community College. No. Yeah, make it free. That would mean that all of the professors were not drawing a salary. None of the administrators would all be on happy labor. The power authority wouldn't be charging for the electricity to run the two installations. No. This idea of free stuff just doesn't work that well. And people don't appreciate things that they don't have to pay for in one way or another. So you make it free, and you'll have a large number of students who really don't care. They're just there because it's free, and they didn't know what else to do. I'm going to tell my story one more time. I know I've told it on the air before, but this family remodeled their bathroom, and when they were done, they had an excess commode. It was in very good shape, a toilet, in other words. It was in very good shape, shiny, bright, new, looked like it had never been used. So they thought they'd be charitable, so they put it out in front of their house with a sign on it that said, "Free toilet, help yourself." And the toilet, that commode, sat out there for 10 days. Nobody touched it. So the next day, the owner changed the sign, and it said, "Toilet for sale, $50. It was gone the next morning. A little bit of human psychology here, folks. People don't appreciate something they get for nothing. Yeah. So if the government of Guam is in the position to make that happen, the American Rescue Plan gives Lulian Guerrero discretion on how to spend that money, provided that she has a closed-door secret meeting with the legislature before she spends a nickel of it. She doesn't have to pay any attention to them. She just needs to lock them up in a room. Here's an idea. Use some of the American Rescue Plan funds to fill gaps for students who want to go to UOG, GCC, or other trade schools for a year. Most students apply for financial aid. Whatever gap is there, Gov Guam can fill it. Yeah. It's an investment. It will give these students a year to figure out how they can fund the rest of their college career, a year that is sorely needed because of the pandemic. Many students work to be able to afford college. Take that worry away for a year. No.
It's a Band-Aid.
Yeah, and it encourages the wrong kind of attitude and thinking. You know, a mature adult realizes that if you're going to progress, if you're going to move forward, you can't have today everything you want today if you're going to do better tomorrow. Yeah, so no free college. Yeah, you could perhaps provide some loan funds. Maybe you can knock off that 5% increase in the tuition. That makes sense. But free college? No. And of course, I'm speaking to you from the standpoint of somebody who worked during the time he was going to college. Yeah, you did too, right, Jose? Yeah. And back in the day, you know, when I started college in 1956 at a reputable state school in Wisconsin, the tuition was $71.50 a semester. Yeah.
That was the inauguration year of that school?
The school was created in 1868. It was called Whitewater Normal School. Normal meant teacher training. And it progressed and changed, et cetera, till now it's got an enrollment of 12,000, and it's University of Wisconsin-Whitewater.
My sister and brother-in-law are graduates, and now my niece is going there.
It's good to know that you have really educated people in your family, Jose.
But I still can't find it on a map.
Well,
it's in the sticks.
Yeah, it's not as big as Milwaukee, that's for sure.
No.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was $71.50 a semester back in a time when the minimum wage was $1 an hour. But anybody who really wanted to go could scrape together $71.50. And I know that everything has gone up, and I know because the national government has gotten involved to the point where universities now see increasing tuition as a profit center. They figure out how much the average student gets in different kinds of federal aid, and then they tack their tuition on top of that. So it's just not a good idea. I'm all in favor of higher education. I'm not in favor of the government getting involved in too many giveaways. An effective, efficient government acting within the rule of law, providing basic government services at least a break-even basis. That's what I want to see. Okay. But, of course, I'm not a liberal, so who cares what I think, right? And then I got the Post, and I've got a supplement to the Post editorial. To the class, this is the Post, to the class of 2021, the real world is what you make of it. Now, I'd have never thought of that in a million years. I thought that, you know, the way things are in college will be the way they are once you're out of school, right? Yeah. Almost every generation that calls this island home has been tested to the limits. Even fewer are poised to take the leap into adulthood or into career during these times. But like those who went before, the people who start journeys during uncertainty also can find once in a generation success. Not everything will be easy, and getting to your goals will be filled with tests and trials. But you knew that already. And I feel sorry for this year's graduating class because we've abandoned the idea of a meritocracy. You know, if you're going to run in a track meet, everybody should get a ribbon, right? If you're going to participate in a contest, everybody should get a medal, because those that don't will have hurt feelings.
And I think I read that about 60% of the universities and colleges in the States are doing away with placement tests now.
Exactly. Yeah. All in the name of diversity and inclusion, which we know the meaning of, right? Yeah. So, you know, back in the day when I started college back in 1956, if you got a B, man, that was a night at the local bar. You know, a C plus was a pretty solid grade, but grades have inflated to the point, you know, that if a person doesn't get a B in a class, that teacher's no good. So I feel sorry for him. And I got a warning for a lot of you guys out there that graduated yesterday. It can be a cruel world out here. Yeah. So I agree with the title here. The rest of it, I don't know. I think I could skip. To the class of 2021, the real world is what you make of it. Yeah. And then Lee Weber comes along with a really good editorial. Conundrums of Socialism in the U.S. A close friend shared some thoughts with me that I believe are worth sharing with the readership of this weekly column. Some folks may find differences with a few of them, but that's what writing is all about, tweaking the thought processes of readers. If you allow yourself the time to read and read through them with an open mind, it's my belief you'll find some common ground with my friend's thinking. Here goes. A gun is like a parachute. If you need one and don't have one, you'll probably never need one again. The definition of the word conundrum is something that is puzzling or confusing. Here are 6 conundrums of socialism in the U.S. America is capitalist and greedy. Boy, we have so many people willing to tell us that every day. Yet around half the population is subsidized. Half the population of the United States does not pay federal income tax. These would be the folks griping about the 1%. They think they are victims, yet their own representatives run the government. Their representatives run the government, yet the poor keep getting poorer. Representatives of the poor, meaning the Democrats, of course. While they have things that people in other countries only dream about, that's poor folks in the U.S., they want America to be more like those other countries. If only we were more like El Salvador, we would be so much better off.
Nope.
Why do people allow themselves to be duped into such thinking? These 3 short sentences tell you a lot about the direction of our current national and possibly local government and cultural environment. 1, we are advised not to judge all Muslims by the actions of a few lunatics, but we're encouraged to judge all gun owners by the actions of a few lunatics. Lunatics are where you find them. It seems we constantly hear about how Social Security is going to run out of money, but we never hear about welfare or food stamps running out of money. What's interesting is the first group, quote, worked for their money, but the second group did not. Why do we discuss cutting benefits for our veterans, pay raises for our military, and cutting our military to a level lower than World War II, but we're not stopping the payments or benefits to illegal aliens who are flowing through our borders? Now, I suppose that I could look forward to a resolution authored by Tina Rose Munya Barnes condemning me for using a naughty word on the air. You know, there were 7 words, George Carlin, 7 words you can't.
Don't say them.
Yeah, now there's 8. And I'm going to say it again, but I probably shouldn't ever say it again. Alien. You should never use that word. Yeah, according to Tina Rose Munya Barnes. Yeah, there's something terribly wrong with the direction of our current government is heading. And if we do not regain balance and control of its operations, we're headed for some seriously difficult times. And once again, I'm going to give you my stock market tips. Go short on paper. Go on the margin for wheelbarrows. Because the way we're going, we're up to $30 trillion in debt. And we are cranking out money so fast that the printing presses are burning up. So when you print more money and it actually has no real value, then the money becomes less valuable. We're on our way to some really high-powered inflation. That's why I say what you need is a wheelbarrow, because we're going to be like the Weimar Republic in Germany, where you need a whole wheelbarrow to load enough currency into that wheelbarrow to go down to the nearest bakery and buy a loaf of bread. But the flip side is go short on paper, because the stock and paper company is going to go way, way down. And with all of that paper currency floating around, nobody's going to spend money on toilet paper. So there you are. So much for Zemi Ikotny. Now we'll go to the card. And I start out, of course, Tall Tales and Tina's Myth. Tina telling the myth that the insular cases are racist. You've heard me say it so many times. When Tina talks about the insular cases, she doesn't know it, but she's talking about Downs versus Bidwell, which has one quote in it that Ann Paris Hattori took up. She couldn't even copy it down correctly. She got the quote wrong. Right or wrong, it just isn't what the insular, that doesn't mean that Downs is a racist case. There's dictum, in other words, words not needed to reach the decision in the case. And the dictum is hypothetical. If, the first word of that quote is if. And that quote, the alien racist quote, did not apply to people in Cuba, Puerto Rico, Guam, or the Philippines. So it's just a made-up foundation for her silly resolution. Tina also took it upon herself to bash the U.S. Navy by quoting the U.S. Navy report from 1899 to 1950, and then saying that the Navy called Chamorros savages. And of course, the way she put it forward, what she's saying is that up until 1950, the Navy called Chamorros savages.
Nope.
No. If you actually read that report, which I did, you'd find that that quote goes back to the preface or the introduction to that report, which went back 378 years to 1521 up to 1898. So she didn't even cite the appropriate position for it. And the word savage was used in a general fashion, was not addressed to Chamorros. In fact, the second paragraph of that portion of the report was praiseworthy of Chamorros, said they were the super race of the Pacific. But that didn't stand in the way of Tina's introducing her crazy resolution. Now, if Tina had her way and Downs versus Bidwell were overruled, then that would mean this, that the real holding of Downs versus Bidwell, which was that the revenue clauses of the Constitution didn't apply in the conquered territories. If Downs were overruled, the revenue clauses would apply. That means the taxation part of it, and it would mean that as soon as that case were effective, our income taxes would not go to the Department of Rev Tax. They would go to the Internal Revenue Service in D.C., and we'd have to figure out how else to run our government. We wouldn't get Section 30 money. We wouldn't be collecting. We have our own customs collectors at the port. We wouldn't be giving out Gura Gita certificates. So it would be a disaster for this island. If you're a separatist, separatism would be out of the window. No more separatism, no more self-determination, because if Downs were overruled, Guam, like that, becomes an incorporated territory, becomes a part of the United States, which cannot be disposed of. No more, none of this stuff. Now, I have to ask, how could anyone put their name on a more ridiculous piece of paper than Resolution 56? And all I got to do is look down and I find two Republicans fit into that category, Bloss and Moylan. Guys, you know, the next thing you should put your name on, either take your name off that bill or put your name on a paper where you're resigning from the Republican Party. I expect this kind of stuff from Democrats, but I have a whole lot higher standard for Republicans, and you guys fell way, way short. Well, sorry, I suppose that hurts somebody's feelings, but it's all true. Anybody who would take the time to study Downs versus Bidwell or read that report would say, Bob, you're too kind. You're pulling your punches. You're not really being as assertive as you ought to be in the face of what Tina and her cohorts and the two Republicans did, because it is a horrible, if it worked, if Tina got her wish, it would be right up there with, with the security clearance that was lifted in 1962, Typhoon Karen. I don't know if it'd be quite as bad as the Japanese occupation, but it would really, really be bad. So there's still time for sanity to set in here before the legislature passes that piece of junk. I think all I can do now is just keep my fingers crossed that common sense, if you listen to the read into my show, that common sense will somehow creep out from under the rug. All right, I'm going to take a short break, and I'll come back and I'll let another Joe pick up on Moylan and Bloss.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training.
Hi, I'm Jerry Roberts, and every day on The Ray Gibson Show, I get to comment on the incredibly diverse, fun, challenging, sometimes frustrating, often exciting, but always interesting world of work. I hope you'll be there with us.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point at GuamTraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts, brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank on 93.3 The Point.
All dads should own a Traeger, and this Father's Day, you can win a Traeger smoker grill for your dad and feast on flavorful wood-fire crafted meals. Cooked with a flip of a switch. Cook low and slow or high and fast with digital precision on your Traeger pellet grill. Purchase $35 or more in fuel at 76 Circle K and enter to win. Gas up today and join Circle K's Father's Day package giveaway. A Traeger smoker grill, a canopy, a cooler full of meat, and 2 cases of Bud or Bud Light are up for grabs only at Circle K. Conditions apply. Visit 76CircleKGuam.com.
We now return to Tall Tales with Bob Klitzkie, soaring over the confusion with his superpowers of truth. Call 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Okay, another Joe. It's your time to give Moylan and Bloss hell. I already took my turn. It's your turn.
No, actually, Bob, dare I be so bold as to take the side and the dissenting opinion with Moylan and Bloss? What if they are...
How do I hang up the phone, Jose?
What?
I just asked Jose how I cut this call off, but go on.
Okay. Hello?
Yeah, he's Janelli-ing you. Go ahead. Go ahead, another Joe.
Well, what if they're... What do you call a ruse? What if they're throwing some bait out as to, you can look at it as separating the wheat from the chaff, and allowing people to take their position sooner rather than later. In other words, if you're going to side against me, you might as well do it in the open, and we all know who's on whose side, and everyone takes a side, and then throw the dice and come with me, and the winning side takes control. And of course we know that and economically people will come to their senses and know that it's in their best interest to stay under the U.S. Flag, keeping U.S. citizenship. But in the process, people will have felt as though they had their voice heard, even if it's the wrong side, and it gets it over with sooner, and we don't have to wait around for it to happen. What do you think about that hypothesis, Bob?
I suppose there's some logic in what you've said, another Joe, but it completely escapes me. I count Moylan and Bloss as being on the wrong side of an extremely important issue. And the more their voice is heard, the less I like it. They should shut up. They should just, if that bill gets to the floor, this is what each of them should say. Madam Speaker, I respectfully request that my name be removed as a co-sponsor for Resolution 56. And the Speaker will then say, any objection? And ordinarily there would be a cry from the peanut gallery, no objection. and the speaker would bang her gavel and say, "So ordered." And I'd say, "Well, finally, you know, this is woke Jim Moylan." You remember how long it took him to the end of the legislature to quit being woke after he introduced that hate crimes bill. But no, there's no good reason. There's no sensible reason. There's no colorable reason for supporting this, much less being a co-sponsor of this piece of junk. Another Joe. I hope I didn't hurt your feelings.
That's okay. I'll get over it, Uncle Bob. But so in that sense, should we take another look at the president of UOG, whether or not he should be replaced, since he's in support of a bunch of socialist Marxists, BLK?
I don't know how socialist and Marxist he is, but he's definitely woke, that's for sure. Yeah.
Okay, Uncle Bob, thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Good talking to you, another Joe.
I think the tuition increase is to pay for his dry cleaning. His knees are a little grass stained.
Yeah. Or to subscribe to more things on TV that he can actually sign up for.
Right.
He couldn't get to the Disney Channel. He's pretty angry about it.
VPN's not cheap.
Yeah. Okay, so anyhow, once again, quoting Robert Lind, it's easier to believe a lie you've heard 1,000 times than a fact you heard just once. The Insular cases are not racist. Overruling the Insular cases would be a disaster for Guam. The Navy did not, in their report, call the people of Guam savages. And if you think there's any redeeming feature in Resolution 56, you need to take speed reading or something like that.
I'm surprised there hasn't been a mass exodus from the right or the co-signers of this resolution. It's amazing.
Well, the key is using the word racism. And nobody wants to be seen as a racist. So it would be framed like this: if you're not in favor of Resolution 56, you're a racist, because that's a racist Supreme Court decision. And of course, it's not a racist Supreme Court decision. And even if it were, overruling that case would be horrible for the territory of Guam, financially, and for all you folks that are interested in self-determination and or independence. That would be it. It would be over. Okay, I see I've got a caller here that wants to make his mark on Tall Tales. So go for it, Mark.
Okay. Hey, Bob.
Yes, sir.
Hey, no, I was just curious, and I wanted to make sure I heard the discussion right on Ray's show the other day, and it may have been on your show too as well last week, that he stays in a $2 million plus condo.
Yeah, that was something that
Troy
put on his website. Yeah, the last condo that sold in that neighborhood was like $2,950,000.
Which neighborhood was this? Do you know off the top of your head?
Yeah, it's down on the beach. It's a condominium. I don't know which condominium. I the way they name condominiums, they all have the word Pacific in them, and none of them really stick in your memory. But it was supposed to be the most expensive condominium development on the beach.
Okay. All right. I guess we'll just wait for Troy to dig up the actual name, and then we can figure that one out.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, you have a good day, and love listening to your show. Still backing you on opposition to Resolution 56.
You
they just need to get rid of it. They need to bury it because it smells like day-old fish.
There you go. You made your mark today. Thanks again, Mark. Yeah, there's a caller who really made his mark. Okay, well, I told you about Jim Moylan. Yeah, and Jim Moylan is a real disappointment. He obviously has candidate potential. You know, he came out of nowhere and won his election very handily. And he was reelected very handily. And his cohorts thought enough of him to make him minority leader. So he's got political potential, But no matter how much political potential you have, you can't continually do dumb things.
It's like throwing things at the wall, see what sticks.
Really?
It might work one time, but it's not a policy.
Really? Like that stupid hate crimes bill. I mean, even if you liked hate crimes, you would not have liked that hate crime bill because it was so poorly done. I don't like hate crimes because it's just identity politics taken to the criminal law. I've done some research, and I found that husbands that are killed by wives who really love them are just as dead as men who are killed by next door neighbors who hate the hell out of them. It just doesn't make any difference. And it has an effect of corrupting the criminal justice system.
It's kind of like trying to delve in somebody's mind too, right?
Really?
That's a pretty good.
So if you want to kill somebody, pull out your sidearm and say, all right, stop right there. I love my neighbor as myself. I have nothing against you. And make sure you're recording this. And bang, and then kill him. And they won't get you on a hate crime. You're probably going to go have a needle stuck in your arm anyhow, but you'll feel a whole lot better about it. All right. Continuing on the thread that I just started, Jim Moylan. Next item on the card, Jim Moylan versus Jim Moylan. Yeah. Bill introduced to mandate open meetings whenever the governor and senators meet. This will be... yeah. And the name of the show is Tall Tales. And, I never let the truth interfere with the telling of a good story. And I like to joke around and use plays on words and exaggeration and et cetera. I didn't make this up.
Nope.
In fact, when I read it, and I'll read it in a minute, I read, what reporter put his name on this? And it's not a reporter. This is Jim Moylan's press release. Yeah. Bill introduced to mandate open meetings whenever the governor and senators meet. Now, if I could do a meme that I could put up here, here's what it would look like. Jim Moylan standing in front of a barn. The barn door is open. Jim has this huge padlock in his hand, right? And there's a horse way over at the other end of the frame that's just galloping away as fast as it can go. Jim is locking the barn door after the horse got away, after he let the horse get away. All right, here's Jim's press release. On Monday morning, Senator James Moylan was joined by Senators Chris Duenas and Tony Atta in introducing legislation that would mandate that whenever a meeting was to take place between the governor and all senators of the Guam legislature, that it could not be a closed-door meeting. God. No! I'm surprised that's not in the Organic Act. It's such a powerful idea. And then here's Jim, telling us a story, right? Jim didn't start this sentence with once upon a time, but he should because it's a story. Jim in his release says, Guam law allows any meeting called by the governor where they, He's still woke.
I think she's a she.
Yeah. Well,
she ran as one.
Not according to Jim, where they invite senators of the Guam legislature. Yeah. Jim is woke to be closed to the public, and likewise any meeting where the speaker invites the governor to meet with senators of the legislature, that discussion can also be in a secret environment. That's what he's saying, that the law right now allows the governor to meet with the legislature in secret.
Does he cite it?
Well, it just says at the bottom, Office of James Jim C. Moylan release. It's his press release. So it's his. He might as well have signed it.
No, cite. Did he cite the law?
Oh, no. He doesn't have to. He's a senator.
Oh.
Yeah, but that's what he says. Now, of course, I always cheat. And I did look at the law, and I didn't even need to open the law book because the Vigilance Committee circulates their papers to the media, and I'm kind of like the media. And here's a note to Speaker Terlahi. We are in receipt of your May 17 response to our Freedom of Information Act request. After thorough review of response, you are in violation of the Open Government Law. The Open Government Law states, Section 8105, second sentence, no chance meeting, informal assemblage, or electronic communication shall be used to decide or deliberate public business in circumvention of the spirit or requirements of this act. That's what the law says, not what Jim said. Okay, let's talk about the spirit, okay? The legislature declares it's the policy of this territory that the formation of public policy and decisions is public and shall not be conducted in secret. That's where the term secret comes from. The people do not yield their individual rights to public agencies which serve them. The people in delegating authority do not give their public servants the right to decide what is good for the people to know and what is not good for the people to know. That's the spirit of the law. Yeah, and the letter of the law is you can't deliberate public business if you are a collegial body, a board, a commission, a legislature. Governor can do whatever she wants, as long as she's just one person. However, I think Jim Moylan might be trying to have some inroads on that because he referred to her as they. So if the governor really is they, then the open government law applies to them also. It's taken me off the subject, but that's what the law says, you know? If you discuss business in public, and you're violating the letter and spirit of the law, you're in violation of the law. And here's a note from the governor. She says, the third paragraph of her letter to Dear Speaker Terlahi and Senator Duenas, to successfully transition from crisis response to economic recovery, we know we must work together under a One Guam approach. I would like to arrange a meeting with members of the 36th Guam legislature to discuss your priorities. So there's a smoking gun. The governor invites them to discuss, and we know from the people that attended the secret meeting that that's exactly what they did. They discussed the public business. How we're going to spend $600 million is not the public business, then what is the public business? This is crazy. And Jim Moylan is going to put a stop to it right now.
Is this what they call a redundancy?
Well, not really, because Jim had the power to deal with this before he... If I were the chief of police, I would say Jim could have stopped this from the get-go. Yeah, he didn't have to go to that meeting. One of the senators, Senator Brown, understands what the open government law allows for and what it doesn't. She said, I ain't gone. No way. The legislature should never meet behind closed doors. And she's absolutely right. And you'd think this guy would know that too. So that's all you need. You don't need any law. You know, it's kind of like, you know, if I'm holding something in my hand and I let go of it, I want to be able to find it right away. So I want to make sure it falls to the floor. Therefore, I'm going to introduce a law. It says that anything that I hold up and let go will fall to the floor. Hey, Jim, what about the law of gravity? Well, yeah, but this is better. No! I don't know what these guys use as a thought process. All right, let's take a short break here.
Hey, big news! Now you can listen to The Point on radio.com. And radio.com gives you so much more. Local news stations give you what's going on in your community, yet national news from CBS, CNN, or Fox News Radio. Take a break with one of the hundreds of music, sports, and talk stations. Love podcasts? Radio.com has thousands of true crime, comedy, kids and family podcasts, and more. Listen anytime, anywhere. On your PC, smart speakers, and a variety of connected devices. Or download the Radio.com app now from the App Store or Google Play.
Busy week? Mezcla Bistro in Tumon has you covered. Let us take the worries out of your dinner meal planning. Check out our daily specials or enjoy some of your local favorites. Plus, receive a free kids meal with each adult dinner entree purchased Monday through Thursday. Call 969-2652 for more information or to make a reservation at the Grand Plaza Hotel in Tumon. And don't forget, Jack Larimer is live every Saturday night. Mezcla Chamorro Fusion Bistro, a true taste of Guam.
All right, so here we are again. I'm still talking about Jim Moylan. You know, Jose, this kind of reminds me of some of these product liability cases that wind up in the courts from time to time. I think it was like 10 years ago that this lady in New Mexico sued McDonald's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because she ordered a cup of coffee and spilled it on herself, and it was hot. So now, you know, a lot of restaurants have to put a warning label, warning, coffee is hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jim bought a pistol, was going to buy a pistol, but then when he checked the labels on the pistol, there was no cautionary label that said, do not point this at your face when you're checking to see if it's loaded.
He maybe should write a bill to not accept gifts from people who are in the middle of procurement.
Yeah.
That'd be appropriate, too.
That would be a good one, too, yeah. So, you know, the Republicans, and once again, I expect the Democrats to do dumb stuff like this, but I have a higher standard for Republicans. And after that locked door, closed door meeting, only one Republican was left standing, and that's Joanne Brown. And you guys ought to perhaps, before you do dumb things, say, Joanne, what do you think here? Because she's the only one that showed anything that came any close to being a common sense approach to that. So this was bad. It was bad public relations. I don't want that. The Post had an editorial. I said, well, you know, they were working together. They should have let the public in, but they were working together, and that's good. No, that's bad. I can't think of anything that I fear more than the senators and the governor behind closed doors, quote, working together.
Remember you mentioned Spider, Welcome to My Parlor?
Yeah.
It sounds like with all these news reports coming out of what the spending actually is going to be, it still sounds like the legislature's confused about where the money's going.
Exactly. Yeah, they gained nothing. They lost, you know, they discarded some of their high cards when Lou dealt the cards. They discarded some of their high cards. They almost surrendered bitching rights, and they made fools out of themselves to an extent that I thought they probably couldn't go any farther until I saw the paper today. Until I saw the PNC News report today. Moylan versus Moylan. Okay, I got about 2 minutes before the big halftime break here. Let me see who I got waiting in the green room. Another Joe, let's wait until after that big halftime show, okay? And then I'll give you a short ride on the Ferris wheel. See if there's anything more I need to say about, so public relations-wise, it was bad. Legally, it was bad. Politically, it was bad. As a matter of personality development, it was bad. It was kind of like, you know, I'm the prettiest gal in town, and I know you'd really like to get close to me, so I'm going to invite you to come over and mow my lawn.
With a Tom Sawyer painting the fence incident?
Yeah, and I know you won't refuse because you can't resist. If I ask you to come, you'll be so overwhelmed by the opportunity that you won't be able to resist. So that's 4 reasons that it's really bad. I suppose there are more. I can't get over the shock of this PNC News release. He sends out a news release telling, in addition to everything else, he tells us he doesn't know what the open government law prohibits. So nice going, Jim.
Were there any minutes that came from the Vigilance Committee's request? Nothing?
No, because Therese wrote back and said no minutes. And then she says, well, it wasn't a session, so we didn't have to do this stuff.
So it's a case of they said, they said?
Yeah, we don't know what they agreed to. Per my speculation, they may have decided how they're going to divide up all the government contracts, swore one another to secrecy, came up with a cover story. Okay, when we go out, let's talk about this, that, but don't say anything about those contracts. That's why boards and commissions should never meet like that. Even executive sessions can be really dangerous. The legislature doesn't meet in executive session. It's supposed to be, it is in fact the popular part of our government. Popular meaning closest to the people. All right. I got 5 minutes to go. Maybe I'll put another Joe on for 5 minutes, another Joe.
Okay, Uncle Bob, before I go any further, I'm going to call it right now. When the Republicans win the majority in the 37th legislature, Joanne Brown for Speaker.
Well,
I'm calling it now.
If the same people get elected to the 37th as are right now, there's only one possible choice. It's only one that really understands the legislature, the law, and the other things necessary to do these things, right?
Joanne Brown.
Yeah.
So I called because the question is, if the body, the legislature, 36th legislature, was in violation of the law, what, if any, is the penalty? Is it a slap on the wrist, a warning? What's your thought on that?
It's either burning at the stake or tar and feathers. I tend to go with tar and feathers. It has a more long-lasting effect. So the penalty for violating the open government law, if you knew you were doing it, it's a misdemeanor. Now, of course, I can't think of a group more able to plead ignorance than the 14 people that went to that, or at least the Republicans that went to that meeting. So perhaps they could come by with an affirmative defense. No one would ever expect that we knew what we were doing when we met with the governor, right? No! Yeah.
Okay, Bob, I think I did it in less than 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, good talking to you, Joe. Yeah. So I don't know if there's anything more I need to say about this, but once again, the Vigilance Committee, that's the kind of the bridge between us and disaster in a lot of these things, because we can't depend on the people that should be looking out for us to look out for us. And let's see, Ken chimed in here. He said, Ken agreed with me that let's see, Tom Mendiola said most people would rather use the ballot to do something about it, Ken. Let me see what the rest of that looks like. Ken said you have a hard time proving to me based on the people who were reelected into the 36th. Yeah. I would call the 36th the Peggy Denny legislature. You know what Peggy Denny is really famous for?
For what?
Recycling.
Yeah, okay.
Peggy Denny, there was an ad on the radio, I recycle and so can you. And I guess they took that to heart at the legislature because they recycled Tello when they promised not to use her name, right? And then they recycled Tina Rosemunia Barnes, who's a two-time loser. And I hope we got a 3 strikes and you're out rule here on Guam. All right, let's break for the big halftime show. And when we come back, I've got Laura Nelson Cepeda and Malcolm X versus a level playing field.
The Point is KUSG, Hagåtña, Guam, 93.3 FM and 104.3 HD3.
Troops leaving. I'm Mary Corsetti, Fox News. The National Guard is on the way out of the U.S. Capitol grounds after guarding it since the January 6th uprising.
Many different states contributed thousands of troops over intelligence there could be a repeat of the riot. At its peak, 26,000 troops were standing watch. By March, 5,000. And then the number went down even more. Their tenure wasn't without controversy, especially about how they were sheltered or fed. Congress is divided on how to protect the Capitol in the long term.
The longer they think, the less secure the Capitol would be, because we have to harden the Capitol.
Lieutenant General Russell Honore on CBS's Face the Nation believes that people won't be freely able to visit the Capitol still because of a strain on the existing U.S. Capitol Police Force. Rob Dawson, Fox News.
And as the crisis at the southern border rages on, local sheriffs in the Rio Grande region are blaming the Biden administration's immigration policies for the surge.
Here in La Jolla, a group of 53 migrants, they turned themselves in and gave themselves up to Border Patrol. Many of them from Romania, as well as a few from Venezuela, and also Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador. Now, Texas Governor Greg Abbott says this is a security crisis as well as a humanitarian crisis because drugs continue to flow in across the border. Take a listen.
So there's been a dramatic increase in the amount of drugs coming across the border. That's very dangerous. The Texas Department of Public Safety patrols the border every single day, and they've seen an 800% increase in the amount of fentanyl coming across the border.
Fox's Bill Malugin. Meanwhile, state police in New Jersey say at least 2 people were killed and 12 others were injured in a shooting at a house party. Officers responded to the house in Fairfield Township about an hour outside of Philadelphia late Saturday night. Photos show overturned party tents, tables and chairs, and debris throughout the home's yard. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy called the shooting horrific. America is listening to Fox News.
When's the last time you looked at your homeowner's insurance?
We buy a homeowner's policy and never give it another thought until something happens. Life brings changes, and our coverage needs can change. The smart thing to do is get the answers and level up our insurance to make sure we're totally protected.
That's the Insurance Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today by calling Guahan Insurance Services at 475-1162 or visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center in Tamuning.
Leah Dunca from Security Title here with a little information about trusts. A trust is a legal entity capable of owning property. It can protect property from issues such as lawsuits or divorce and can be used to distribute property and avoid probate. Many trusts start as revocable but become irrevocable when the initial trustees die. Work with your estate planning attorney to see if a trust is a good fit for your family property. Call the professionals at Security Title. We are here to help.
Looking to buy something unique or custom made for your firearm? You'll have to look somewhere other than the website Etsy. Fox's Eben Brown reports sellers on the site claim they were notified a change is coming.
Starting this week, you will not be able to buy parts or accessories for your firearms on Etsy. The online marketplace known for selling craft wares made to order says that starting on May 25th, they will disallow sales of things meant to attach to guns. Etsy had already prohibited the sale of firearms or ammo, but a number of sellers on the marketplace feature custom or commemorative pistol grips or even cufflinks made from ammo shells and say that Etsy has yet to be clear with them about their products. Eben Brown, Fox News.
And only one newcomer is in the top 10 at the box office this weekend. Fox's Ann Carrick has the details in the weekend box office report.
Dream Horse, the story of an unlikely racehorse with lots of local support, grabs the number 9 position with almost 850,000 in ticket sales. The top 3 remain unchanged. Spiral with Chris Rock is atop the podium, adding more than $4.5 million for a gross of almost $16 million in 2 weeks. Wrath of Man holds on to second with almost $3 million and a gross of almost $19 million in 3 weeks. Those Who Want Me Dead with Angelina Jolie holds off Raya and the Last Dragon by adding almost $2 million for a 2-week gross of $5.5 million. Ann Carrick, Fox News.
And like mother, like daughter, pop star Pink was joined on stage at the Billboard Music Awards by her 9-year-old daughter, showing off their powerful gymnastic skills as they spun in the air in a jaw-dropping performance. Pink was matched by Willow Sage Hart as Cover Me in Sunshine played in the background, which is Pink's song featuring vocals from her daughter. The pre-taped performance aired during Sunday's award show, where Pink earned the Icon Award, and the singer wasn't the only one having a good night. Breakthrough country star Gabby Barrett won 3 honors, and The Weeknd has won over half his nominations. I'm Mary Corsetti, and this is Fox News.
Hoffaday, this is Severina. Here at APL, our expertise and extensive network can help you grow your business and reach out to more global markets. As a responsible carrier, APL is also committed to a sustainable future, whether it's protecting the environment or investing our efforts in giving back to the community. Our dedicated teams in Guam, Saipan, and on U.S. mainland are here to support you. Call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com.
Off a day. This is Rocky Martinez, professional heavyweight MMA fighter. Nothing gets in my way when I go pro at Subway. Pack a punch with double the protein on any foot-long sub for just $2 more. For a limited time only. Subway. Eat fresh.
Do you dread waiting in those long, inconvenient lines? That's why you won't find them at Bank Pacific. We're back to our pre-COVID Monday to Saturday hours with all of our branches open. You know, that where others put branches, we place roots thing. And if you don't want to come to the bank, we have MyCloud Banking through which you can go to the bank on any of your devices, including through our new cool mobile banking platform with remote capture so you can deposit checks from anywhere. Offline, online, no line. Bank Pacific. Where others put branches, we place roots and rooting for you. Member FDIC.
Busy week? Mezcla Bistro and Tumon has you covered. Let us take the worries out of your dinner meal planning. Check out our daily specials or enjoy some of your local favorites. Plus, receive a free kids meal with each adult dinner entree purchased Monday through Thursday. Call 969-2652 for more information or to make a reservation at the Grand Plaza Hotel in Tumon. And don't forget, Jack Larimer is live every Saturday night. Mezcla Chamorro Fusion Bistro, a true taste of Guam.
That's what real music sounds like. 1812 Overture. That's how we wrap up our halftime show. Okay, so back to Laura Nelson Cepeda and Malcolm X versus a level playing field. This is a story that ran in the Daily News over Steve's signature, Steve Limtiaco. The Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce, the island's newest business network, will celebrate its 8th anniversary this fall. The group's membership is mostly small businesses. Chamber President Laura Nelson Cepeda said, noting that most businesses on Guam are considered small according to federal guidelines. Quote, "We have a lot of men, actually, in the Women's Chamber. One of our biggest sponsors is Sonny Atta. He's a huge advocate for the Guam Women's Chamber. Wow, hooray for Sunnyata. One of the Chamber's objectives to give women an edge when competing for local government contracts could be approved during this monthly session. Bill 71 by Senator Amanda Shelton was debated briefly Friday with no lawmakers speaking against it. It would allow women-owned businesses to win contracts provided their bid is no more than 5% higher than the lowest bid. Let me stop here. Now, there's a word for this. There's a term for this. It's called rent seeking. I've explained this before. Economic rent seeking. Economic rent is one of those phrases where you know the meaning of each of the words, you put them together and they take on a totally different meaning. Economic rent is what businesses do, what they are attempting to get, what they're rent seeking, when they're looking for government rules, regulations, licensing requirements, or something that allows them to increase their profits without adding value, valuable service or product in the market. And that's exactly what's going on here. If this law, if this becomes the law, a women's company, whatever that is, would make 5% more on a government contract than one that's not a woman's company. And of course, the women's company can be awarded the bid even though they're not the lowest bidder. So where does that 5% come from? Who pays that extra 5% to the women that are rent seeking? Got a mirror handy? You are. We all are. It's more public money spent to buy something. So if you have the opportunity to go into a store and buy $10 worth of groceries and pay $10.50 for the $10 worth of groceries, the fact that the cashier was a woman, would that make you any happier?
Well, you'd have to get charged 5% more.
Yeah, exactly. So this is out and out rent seeking, where the Women's Chamber is advancing a bill that is a bill that looks for economic rent. Rent seeking is, I'm going to label it, it's always bad. The market should be based, profits should be based on market factors, not on the favors you can get the government to do for you. And that's exactly what we got here. So one of the Chamber's objectives is to give women an edge. Now remember that, to give women an edge when competing for government contracts. All right. Now, going on to a quote from Laura Cepeda Nelson, the Women's Set-Aside Bill, that's very top of the mind for a lot of us, to allow women to have this level playing field in business. Level playing field. That's why this is labeled, why the other side is a level playing field. They don't want a level playing field. That's exactly what they don't want. They want a playing field that's got a 5% tilt towards them. So when people are running down the field, they're going to be able to run faster because they're running downhill. Everybody else is running on a level playing field. So, you know, advocacy is advocacy, and I can understand people advocating for an advantage, even if it's rent-seeking, but get your language straight. Don't ask for economic rent and then say what we're looking for is to allow women to have this level playing field in business. Next part of the column says that the Women's Chamber is going to have a monthly column in the Daily News. Boy, I can't wait to read that. At least once a month, I'll know what I'm going to be talking about on Tall Tales.
It better be 5% better than the usual.
Exactly. Well, it doesn't have to be as good.
5%
It only has
less.
to be 95% as good as the regular stuff.
That's the edge.
Yeah. Okay, more from Cepeda. Cepeda said the Chamber's mission is to advance women in business. Now, here's Malcolm X. Cepeda said the Chamber's mission is to advance women in business by whatever means necessary. Have you ever heard that phrase before?
Yes, sir.
Malcolm X, going back to, the late Malcolm X. And what Malcolm X meant was he was back at the beginning of the civil rights era, and he said, blacks have got to fight against discrimination by whatever means necessary. Malcolm X, do you mean even if violence is required? Yes, whatever means necessary. So here's Cepeda, rent-seeking, telling us that that's a level playing field, and they want to advance women in business by whatever means necessary. I don't know what business Cepeda is in. I hope for her sake it's not public relations, because she's got a marvelous vocabulary here. And she goes on, legislation is probably the most impactful way we can influence the business community to allow women a level playing field. No! The most impactful way that you can influence the business community is being really good at what you do. That's how you do it. That's how business is conducted. Not going to the government saying, "Can you give us can you give us a rent-seeking deal? Can we get something for nothing here? Can you do something that's anti-competitive to help us out? And if you do, we'll do you a big favor. We know it isn't, but we'll say it's a level playing field." Jeez. Yeah. Legislation is probably the most impactful way we can influence the business community to allow women a level playing field. You don't have to be allowed, gals. The playing field is level now. If you can go out and do it better than anybody else, you'll be more successful than anybody else. So much for the Women's Chamber of Commerce. Yeah, good show, Women's Chamber of Commerce. Okay, let's see. I got somebody here in the green room. It's probably Malcolm X's heirs. It's a caller that it's not going to pull my leg or beat around the bush. It's a caller that's just going to be frank. Okay, caller, be frank.
Yeah, I'll be frank. I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, not unless Moylan wants to pay it out of his own pocket. I mean, I don't think. I don't know where you got this idea from. I don't know where he gets it.
I don't know where he gets any of his ideas.
Back in the mainland, they're all fighting for equal rights. Women want to be men, and men want to be women, and then we're going to do this. I just don't get it. Where's it coming from?
Well, that'll be the next challenge then. How many trannies will come along to take advantage?
I mean, maybe a guy who say he wants to indicate himself as a woman and then get that 5%, and then what? And then they're gonna say it's just one big mess. I don't think we should be giving 5% over what we're gonna pay for any service.
Absolutely not.
It's a good idea, and where are they gonna get the money? All this hurt coming and all this talk about shortfalls and the tourism is out, and then they're going to do this. I don't know what he was thinking. Maybe he had too many drinks or something when he was thinking of this legislation here.
Well, could be, but notwithstanding your initial commitment, Frank, you were very frank. So I thank you for your frankness. I'm glad you called today.
Okay, thank you.
All right. That caller was quite frank.
I think he misunderstood the author of the bill, though, who is Shelton. But because of the mess of it, I can understand his confusion.
It's actually Shelton's bill, but such a dumb idea. it's kind of logical. You figure, well, it must be another one of Jim Moylan's bills. It's the kind of stuff he's capable of turning out, right? Him with his hate crimes bill and his women's set aside, and yeah, even Jay Dewan says more men might turn to transgender to compete with women. LOL.
Are they going to be challenged?
Yeah, that'll be the next battle, won't it? Yeah. Yeah, and I'll get to that if I ever get there with Lassia Casil versus reality. Yeah, I probably should have put that on the card next. In fact, I will. I'll put that on the card next because it fits in so well. Yeah. Yeah, this is Lassia Casil versus reality. I just pulled it up from the bottom of the card. And this is a story that ran in the Post a few days ago. Petition. Mandatory surgery law invasive, unaffordable for trans residents. Yeah, that's what the headline says. An online petition is asking Guam to, quote, let trans people change their gender without forcing surgery. Now, if this works, I'm going to start my own petition. Yeah. So let me get into it a little bit, and then I'll stop and tell you how my petition's going to read. Current local law requires a physician to certify they have performed a surgical procedure that, quote, changed the sex of an individual. Now, we know that you can't change the sex of an individual. You can get involved with mutilation or excision, but you can't change the sex of an individual. Back to the sentence. Current law requires a physician to certify they have performed a surgical procedure that changed the sex of an individual before a resident's gender can be changed on its birth certificate. So what they're saying, what the law says right now, if you are born with male plumbing and you have a surgeon go in and remove your male plumbing and perhaps install something that looks like female plumbing, then you could have your birth certificate changed. And they'd cross out the M and put an F in there, right? That's what the current law says. Current law requires a physician certify they have performed a surgical procedure that changed the sex of an individual before a resident's gender can be changed on his birth certificate. But the petition asks that the birth certificate could be changed without forcing surgery. So this is what I would like to have happen. I would like to have my shoe size changed by legislation. Yeah. I wear a size 14 shoe. A pretty good size shoe, right? It's an immutable characteristic. You know, I didn't buy it or have it sewed on or anything. It's just the way I am. But it's on this island, it's so hard to buy size 14 shoes. And it would be so much easier for me to buy size 9 shoes. So I'd like to have a law passed that says that anybody who has size 14 feet could have their size changed to size 9. And I could go down to Ross or someplace like that, and I'd say, I'd like a pair of these in size 9. And that would be that. What's the difference? Anyhow, that's what their petition. Let trans people change their gender without surgery. Now, I would go a little farther. If I were going to do something with the law, I would say no matter how much mutilation or whatever you've had on your body, you're still what you are. And no, you can't change your birth certificate. Otherwise, well, we're introducing Schrodinger's cat into the birth certificate process. Are you familiar with Schrodinger's cat, Jose? Yeah.
Whatever is in the box.
Well, you don't know what's in the box.
Don't know what's in, yeah.
Until you look at it. And when you look at it, you know, the cat in the box is both alive and dead at the same time until you look at it. So a human is both a male and a female until you look at it, right? That's where we are, the Schrodinger's cat theory of documentation. The petition created by a transgender man explains why surgery isn't an option for everyone who identifies as transgender. Some people have taken their own lives because they regret the surgery. I can understand that. Or they don't like the outcome. It's a serious decision, and I don't think people should have, parenthesis, sex reassignment surgery. And we know that there's no such thing, but that's what the article says, as a requirement to change their gender on their birth certificate. The petitioner, identified as Sonny Salas by his aunt, wrote, "We just want to live and feel like any straight person without invasive surgery that we are forced to have in order to change our names and gender."
Forced?
Forced to have, yeah. Forced, yeah. Your papers, please. I'm looking at your papers. It says male. You don't look like a male to me. Your papers are not in order. You'll have to come to headquarters for this. Forced. Yeah.
I'll agree to this legislation if I could identify as vaccinated, because I don't want to be forced.
You don't want to be forced to be
But
vaccinated.
I want to be identified.
Yeah, well, there's no, once you start down this road, there's no end to where you can travel. Once you decide that reality has no place in documentation, it's how you feel. How they feel that counts. And this whole idea that some people might not like the outcome, etc., or they regret the surgery. So if there's someone who has a problem, deciding that I really don't want to be whatever I am, this to me sounds like a job for psychologists, psychiatrists, and counselors, not a job for a surgeon, and not a job for the registrar of vital statistics to fill out to what would be a crime in the absence of, maybe they could get Jack Haddock to go out there and fill out these birth certificates. He'll put down the right sex for them, right? Yeah.
Doesn't hurt to try.
Yeah. Well, first he'd harass the registrar of vital statistics, and when she refused, then he'd just write it in himself. Yeah. Well, transgender residents can change their names with a court order today. Anybody can change his name with a court order today. The difference between how one is seen in person and the gender indicated on their identification documents can lead to serious problems, according to Lasia Casil, co-chair of Equality Guam. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes people say, "Where did you get your plastic surgery, Bob? You haven't always looked like this, have you?" Yeah. Nobody could be that handsome without plastic surgery, Bob. Yeah, so, how you look could have serious consequences. Okay, she goes on with a quote. "It puts a target on trans people's back. It makes them a target for discrimination, like going through the Transportation Security Administration checkpoints." Well, I can imagine. Somebody at the TSA checkpoint looks at a passport and he sees an M there, and he sees this voluptuous female walking through the metal. Yeah. Trans people get pulled aside and harassed and patted down and get all these questions asked. Sometimes really horrible, invasive things happen to them if their ID doesn't match what their presentation is. So you can make a presentation, and then government documents must match your presentation. Both Casil and Salas noted that surgical procedures are unaffordable for many transgender people. Casil told the Daily Post she spent the equivalent of a down payment on a house for, here's a new term, for gender confirmation surgeries. Gender confirmation surgeries.
Nothing to do with the Catholic Church.
No. For gender confirmation surgeries, hormonal replacement therapies, and mental health services. The equivalent of a down payment on a house. None of the costs were covered by health insurance. There ought to be a Jim. Yeah, get out your pencil, Jim. We need you to draft another law. None of the costs were covered by health insurance, and she had to save for years to afford it at all, according to Casil. To go and get all of that done just so you can apply for a job or apply for medical care, it's just insane. I think she finally said something that I agree with. It is just insane to spend all that money on that. Yeah. But mandating surgery also enforces a notion that anatomy alone is what determines who is a woman or a man. Mandating surgery also enforces a notion that anatomy alone is what determines who is a woman or a man. Quote, you don't go through the full transition to be transgender. You are valid no matter how you want to go through the process. It's your body, and you can change what you want and shouldn't be told you have to do something you don't want to do if you don't want to. You shouldn't have to, Salas wrote in her position. You shouldn't have to do what you don't want to. Yeah. So, you know the old saying, Jose, about basketball? White men can't jump. So I think what we should do is change the rules and lower the basket so that everybody on the court could jump. That would be fair. A bill making reforms to the local process for transgender people to change their birth certificate and official names failed by one vote in 2018. That measure created a new legal process for courts to consider an application for a change in gender rather than mandating surgery. Part of the proposal required that a medical professional, social worker, or counselor file a declaration that the sought change in gender, quote, more accurately reflects the applicant's sex or gender identity. So you could have a social worker file a declaration with the court that, notwithstanding, the plumbing that this person has, that the new gender more accurately reflects the applicant's sex or gender identity. It's just amazing how far afield we've gotten with this stuff. Maintaining formal requirements is important when considering a change in gender, Casil told the Post. People can't just show up and say, hey, I identify as a woman today. No, there should be a required amount of time someone has been under evaluation, and they have to meet all these check marks. Are you living fully as a woman? Are you presenting as a woman? What is the name of people that recognize you as a woman? There's a number of different requirements that need to be met before someone can go change their birth certificate or ID. You can't just have anyone coming along and saying, I feel like a woman. Wow, what chaos that would be. Okay, I'm going to have to break for a seventh inning stretch. Coming back from a seventh inning stretch, I've got either AKA Sam or AKA Sam. I'll find out. I've got R. Cruz, and Mark S. Cruz wants to make his mark again. All right.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training.
Hi, I'm Jerry Roberts, and every day on The Ray Gibson Show, I get to comment on the incredibly diverse, fun, challenging, sometimes frustrating, often exciting, but always interesting world of work. I hope you'll be there with us.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point at guamtraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts, brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank on 93.3 The Point.
Need to finish the job or start one the right way? Get the right stuff at East West Rental Center. You can switch to easy mode using industrial strength equipment. With years of experience helping builders, East West Rental gives you exactly what you need. Tools for landscaping, concrete, lifts, trucks, tables, tents, chairs, water blasters, excavators, forklifts, air compressors, and more. Call East West Rental Center at 646-1463 or visit them in Upper Tumont. Open Monday to Saturday from 7 to 5, Sundays 8 to 5.
Seventh inning, Wrigley Field, seventh inning stretch. I was going to go to the restroom, but I kind of got scared.
The line is long.
Yeah, the line is too long. So Casil says that the ID change, but for people like Casil who have successfully changed their recorded gender and name, the benefits can be transformational. Now, this is the part I don't get, okay? Let's say that someone starts out as a man, and that person says, I really want to be a woman. So she goes through the surgery and reconstruction and whatever it takes, the hormone therapy, spends a lot of time, manicure, pedicure, beauty shop, makeup, the whole thing. And when it's over, that person really looks like a woman, not like a man. And that person, like Casil says here, is able to somewhere else get the right documentation. Then why would you want to talk about transgender? What's the point? You say it's so important that you'll be able to do all this stuff. So should people that do this and are successful, that is, they really appear like the sex they want to be, that a man really does appear like a woman, should those people then, as a matter of pride, wear a big button on their chest that says, I'm a transgender? What's the point? Something is really out of sync here. I understand everything up to that point. But why, if you are a transgender and you've got the documents and you could pass as a female, what's the point in ratting yourself out?
So you can form a transgender chamber of commerce.
I think so. Yeah, no, I would understand it if this women's preference bill had passed. And of course, like Mr. Dewan said, when that bill passes, there'll be a lot of transgender, especially if Casil's law passes. Yeah, I want to be a woman because I want that economic rent. Okay, then at the end of the column here, the article, people in our community. Now, I don't know what she means by our community, but I think I do. That's people that were born one way and now want to be recognized as the other way, have worked so hard to live their lives truthfully. Truthfully? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. no one chooses to be bullied. Well, if you go around, if you lead with your nose, don't be too surprised when somebody takes a swing at it. So if you go around saying, hey, see me over here? Yeah. No one chooses to be bullied. Now, this part here, I wasn't quite sure. Maybe she was talking about me. No one chooses to be a target for murder. No one chooses to be thrown out of the family home. I thought maybe she was talking about outspoken talk show hosts there. She says, but these are the repercussions of being trans. How can you say that what we're doing is a phase or not real? I can't say that. I don't even want to say that. I do tell you what I want to see. I want to see absolute accuracy in public documents. I don't want to see anything changed because it'll make somebody feel better. I don't care who you are or what the change is, et cetera. I want to see accuracy in public policy. If Herman feels like dressing up like Henrietta and telling everybody that he's Henrietta, it's okay with me. I don't care. That's Herman's call. But don't expect me to engage in pretending that something the way it isn't, because I don't do forced pretending. Okay, so I guess I lit the switchboard up, didn't I, with this one? Okay, we've got AKA Sam, R. Keith, and Mark Cruz wanting to make his mark again. So we'll start out with AKA Sam. Is it AKA Sam or AKA Sam?
Oh, in this subject, it has to be also known as
okay.
AKA.
All right, Sam.
And I was really on your side all the way up till you just popped my balloon, because I really wanted to go in and get my driver's license changed from my actual weight to what I feel like, since I'm a translender.
Gosh, Sam, my bad. I'm sorry I made you. I'm sorry I made you feel. That's a really good point.
I was at you at hello, but you lost me when you weren't going to let me be skinny. It really shot my day.
And how much you weigh, and the size and the length of your belt doesn't determine whether or not you're skinny, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, really good point. I can see why you didn't want to use your real name, Sam. You didn't want.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't go that way. It's too frustrating.
Yeah, you didn't want to blow your cover. Well, thank you for sharing that little bit of wisdom with us, Sam. And if there's any way that I could possibly be of help, I used to weigh a lot more than I weigh right now, so I got some old belts at home. Maybe I could recycle them.
Well, I think I'll just have to call Woke Jim up and see if he'll introduce a bill for me.
Yeah, that's the best solution. Thanks.
That I know you need more material for your show, so that might be a road to go down.
Yeah, well, Jim is almost doing it all by himself, so I'm sure he could use a little help. Thanks again, Sam.
He really helps you out in these subject matters, which maybe he's on your payroll. I don't know. I
don't have professional joke writers in the back room here. Jim comes the closest to that of anything I've got. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you have a wonderful show.
All right.
And I will let someone else put me down for my translender.
Okay. Good luck with that, Sam. The poor guy, Yeah. Well, maybe we could start dinging the Director of Revenue and Taxation. Why won't you change his driver's license? He doesn't want to weigh 240. He wants to weigh 160. Give him a break. All right. Let's see. Who else have I got? Who I've got on the line here? I've got R. Keith. Good afternoon, R. Keith.
Good afternoon, gang. First of all, my hat is off to AKA Sam. Translender. I am so stealing that. I wonder if we can now change the name of Weight Watchers to a Translender support group.
That would be a lot better. Yeah.
Anyway, this whole business just astounds me that 0.025% of the population is now dictating this crap. Anyway, I just point out the amusing juxtaposition that the trust the science, follow the science crowd are the same ones that are pushing this. No matter how many pieces you get cut off or glued back on, or dresses you wear, or whatever, hormone therapy or whatever, at the end of the day, there is XX, male, and XY, female. Can't change that.
Nope.
All the rest is window dressing. And anyone who calls themselves following the science or a scientist that falls for this and pushes this is a fraud.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
I'm glad to hear, by the way, that the reason you weren't scared when you went to the bathroom was that you couldn't figure out which door to use, male or female. I was a little worried there for a moment.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to confess right here on the air, there are some places that I go, even here on the island, that only have two restrooms. One says women and the other one says men. And there are times when I go to the men's room and the door is locked, and there's a certain urgency in my errand. My inner female comes out, and I go into the
Yeah, yeah, I think we've all done that.
Yeah. But if anybody called me on it, that's exactly what I'd say. You want to see my driver's license?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, well, we got to keep plugging away at this, Keith.
Have a nice day.
Good talking to you, as usual. All right, and then let's see. I've got Mark wanting to make his mark again. Go ahead, Mark.
Hey, well, so no, what I was thinking is you gave me a good idea. I've got a really good buddy who's at TSA, so I want to ask them, what they do when they run into that situation. The other one was, what do you do when you apply for your passport and you send in your picture, and of course it says you're a male, and the picture is someone that looks female?
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious how the State Department handles that. But I don't know anybody who runs the passport section at the State Department, or maybe it is somebody here when they first turn in all their applications and their pictures and everything, and they get the birth certificate and look down and say, okay, this is the person, but they're applying as a female. But I'm just curious, and nothing negative. I just want to know how they react to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And last but not least, for AKA Sam, to me, he'll always be one of those orphan children from Africa who might be adopted by Brad and Angelina. He's slim. He's that slim. So no problem.
Okay. All right. Well, you made your mark again, Mark. So thanks for calling.
Take care, Bob.
Okay, it's time to head for Churchill Downs.
Busy week? Mescla Bistro and Tumon has you covered. Let us take the worries out of your dinner meal planning. Check out our daily specials or enjoy some of your local favorites. Plus, receive a free kids meal with each adult dinner entree purchased Monday through Thursday. Call 969-2652 for more information or to make a reservation at the Grand Plaza Hotel in Tumon. And don't forget, Jack Larimer is live every Saturday night. Mescla Chamorro Fusion Bistro. a true taste of Guam.
All dads should own a Traeger. And this Father's Day, you can win a Traeger smoker grill for your dad and feast on flavorful wood-fire crafted meals. Cooked with a flip of a switch. Cook low and slow or high and fast with digital precision on your Traeger pellet grill. Purchase $35 or more in fuel at 76 Circle K and enter to win. Gas up today and join Circle K's Father's Day package giveaway. A Traeger smoker grill, a canopy, a cooler full of meat, and 2 cases of Bud or Bud Light are up for grabs only at Circle K. Conditions apply. Visit 76CircleKGuam.com.
Okay, so here we are, Churchill Downs, the home stretch on Tall Tales. And I don't know, 3 times on the Ferris wheel?
Maybe this is another Josefina. So it'll be the first time.
Yeah. All right, another Joe. Make it quick.
No, I can't say that I identify as a Josefina on Kebab. No, can't say that. Sorry. Unfortunately, I'm not woke enough. But I think we're in agreement on Kebab that there's a starting point, and there is, in fact, acknowledged that there's, at this point, there's an identified a male and a female gender, and that they cannot deny that because, in stateside, they're denying part of the woke culture is to deny anything ever exists, tear down statues, and, rewrite history, change the whole paradigm. And I want to put out a warning there because you can only take that so far. Eventually, they're going to start taking a look at the Bible and say, hey, everything you believe is not woke enough. And then we have, there's no such, they're going to deny God because God's not woke enough to identify with more than 2 genders. And then you're going to have a whole unfortunate revisiting of mistreatment of our Creator again. If you're not careful. So, last time I checked, the Noah's Ark, was it the instructions to Noah were to gather 2 of each species, 1 male, 1 female.
Right.
So if you want to rewrite history, be careful how far you want to take it because if you start hanging the Bible, it's going to be a lot of conflict, and hopefully that doesn't occur. But anyway, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I suppose the rewrite of the Bible would be to take 3 of each kind, right?
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
God forbid. Okay, Kebab, thanks.
Okay, another Joe. All right, last item on the card here. I hope I can finish it up. It's Brown versus Hattick, the never-ending story of Hattick Gate. With an oversight hearing for the Chamorro Land Trust on the way, Republican Senator Joanne Brown is lining up her questions. The minority senator had written the governor regarding allegations of impropriety levied against former CLTC head Jack Hattick by at least one of the agency's land agents. She has yet to receive a response. Brown, meanwhile, reacting to comments by Attorney General Levin Camacho, which I haven't spotted in the press, have you?
Not at all.
Defending the actions of the CLTC board. Here we go. Camacho saying one of his assistant AGs is advising the board. Everything, I've had personal experience with that myself back in the wars of bishop succession and certificates of titles when there was an assistant AG there. This is nothing to make you feel good.
Doesn't CLTC have their own attorneys?
Well, they have Nicholas Toft, who is an assistant attorney general who is delegated to CLTC. Yeah. And so Brown, meanwhile, reacting to comments by Attorney General Levin Camacho defending the actions of the CLTC board. Camacho saying one of his assistants is advising the board. Well, that's it. End of story, right? But Brown wants to know if Hattick altered any other reports. You remember the story? There is a paper that says on the top, land agent report. and the report is to be given to the CLTC as a recommendation, and the recommendation is that they allow illegal transfer from a husband who has no legal right to be in line from his wife to him because he's farther ahead in the line. And that, even counsel from the AG's office said you can't do that. So a land agent named Lydia Talou came in and said, you know, I do these reports, but Haddock harassed me into making this recommendation. Haddock comes along and clears it up right on the spot. And he said, no, I didn't harass her. I just took the report and added that in myself. Now, I went through the definitions of forgery on the air when this happened. Taking a document and changing the content of it without the permission of the person who is the proponent of the document looked like forgery to me. That would be my opinion. And it looked like Talou said, I don't want this to go before the board and have them come down hard on me for doing something that I ought to know better than doing. So I got to go to the board, and perhaps she said the easiest way she could say was he harassed me, forcing him to come forward and saying, no, I didn't harass her, I just did it myself. And it kind of goes right back to public documents. I want public documents to always be correct, accurate, and not forged. So if it's a land agent's document and you're the director of the agency, that doesn't mean that you can change that document unless you make a note. You know, here's Talou's report. This is my recommendation. Your pal Jack. But then Haddock went on to explain that he was basically trying to slip one by. Because he said, well, you know, and Talou said, you know, this is how the CLTC got in trouble last year, this line switching business. And the Attorney General said we can't do it, and on and on and on. And Haddock said, well, you know, we didn't know how we could help this guy, so we thought we'd try this, and if it worked, fine. If not, we'll know better next time. So in other words, he was trying to slip one by the board, letting the commission think it's a land agent's report when it was actually his recommendation, and it was a recommendation that at least she knew was against the law. Now, the fact that somebody from the Attorney General's office sits in on these meetings, I'll tell you what counsel could have done. I'm not going to say what counsel should have done, but counsel should have made a report to the Attorney General. Because what happened was the chairman adjourned the meeting and said, we're not going to entertain any more business after this. And then he tried to cover it up himself. I'm not going to do an investigation. I'm going to go around and interview the other land agents, and then he comes back, and I'm going to.
But it's not an investigation.
He's not an investigation, and I'm going to do a report for the commission. And then next meeting he says, well, I talked to them all, and now we're all on the same page, and we're all going to move forward, and everything is fine. And anybody know the words to that Kumbaya song? We'll have a song fest here at the end of the meeting. But then the next meeting, he says, sorry, but Jack Haddock is not suitable for this job. So instead of, you know, saying, I will entertain a motion to fire Jack Haddock, he says, what I'll do is I'll talk to the governor. And he talks to the governor. And the governor comes in and saves the day by giving Jack a job down at the governor's office.
These are the things that happened down in Manila. No, in a beach house in Inarajan.
Yeah, I suppose that's where the meeting. She may have met with the CLTC at her beach house in Inarajan. We don't know, because that's why she does it at Inarajan, so no one will find out about it. But what a travesty. In the meantime, people went down and lined up and signed up for these leases in 1995, and there's still 4,000 people that are waiting. Yeah.
That's a lot.
And we're doing these kinds of shenanigans, you know. I mean, it's just sometimes I'm amazed at how much people can put up with, you know, without doing something really radical like I don't know what. But this is such a sorry chapter in the history of government of Guam. I don't know who is the most at fault. Lydia Tillou is the hero, that's for sure. I'm not handing out any medals to council for his performance. The land trust folks must have gone to the Stephen Ignacio School of Government Accountability, where you determined that there was no cover up from the get-go, even if you were the ones covering it up. So they're not the heroes. And then the governor, instead of doing what she should have done, when Regis said, I want to talk to you, she said, there's nothing for us to talk about. You're the chairman, do your job. If he's not suitable for the job, get rid of him and get another one. Why are you going to dump this on me? But of course, I think we have our suspicions. And my suspicion was that Jack Haddock is carrying a very heavy chit. C-H-I-T. He turned that chit in, and the governor said, oh, yeah, this is quite a chit, Jack. I'll find something for you here. How much do you want to make? All right, that's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow with more Tall Tales. See you then.
The Point is KUSG, Hagåtña, Guam, 93.3 FM and 104.3 HD3.
Rebuilding after devastation. I'm Mary Corsetti, Fox News. The ceasefire between Israel and Gaza held for a third day on Sunday. Fox's Mark Meredith reports on the Biden administration's response from the White House.
This week, the president's going to be sending his Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, out to the Middle East to meet with both Israeli and Palestinian officials. This all comes as the administration is trying to help keep this fragile ceasefire still in place. We know that the administration has doubled down on its message of support for Israel, but we're also hearing from administration officials that are promising to provide humanitarian aid to those living in war-torn Gaza. President Biden insists the U.S. remains committed to Israel after a notable number of progressives called on the U.S. to rethink military and financial support for the current Israeli government.
And U.S. health officials say that most fully vaccinated Americans can skip testing for COVID-19, even if they were exposed to someone infected. That new guidance was announced last week. Experts say people who are fully vaccinated face little risk of developing serious illness or passing the infection on to others, and that aggressively testing vaccinated people can lead to unnecessary worry and disruption at work and school. Plus, thousands of migrants continue arriving at the U.S. southern border every week.
It's a cat and mouse game that plays out pretty much almost every single day here in the Rio Grande Valley, particularly here in La Jolla, Texas, where we are. This is one of the busiest spots in the busiest sector along the U.S.-Mexico border. Fox spoke with Texas Governor Greg Abbott a short time ago. He's sending resources down here to the border. He knows Border Patrol needs the help, and he says he has concerns about the ongoing drug crisis coming across the border. Take a listen.
So there's been a dramatic increase in the amount of drugs coming across the border that's very dangerous to people across the entire United States.
And it's not just drug smuggling they've got to worry about. Texas state troopers pulled over a Mexican national here in La Jolla Friday evening, and this is what he had in his vehicle: an arsenal of 16 guns, some of them high-powered automatic weapons, more than 3,500 rounds of ammo.
Fox's Bill Malusian. America is listening to Fox News.
From the Fox News Podcasts Network.
Hey, this is Trey Gowdy, host of the Trey Gowdy Podcast. Every Tuesday, you'll hear what's on my mind. Plus, every Thursday, there's a special bonus episode where we answer the questions that are on your mind. Make sure to spend your Tuesdays and Thursdays with Trey. Subscribe now at foxnewspodcast.com or wherever you download podcasts. Hope to see you.
America's listening to Fox News. From the Fox News Podcasts Network, it's the Fox News Rundown. Start your day with a contrast of perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. A daily morning